Hi, Chris from One Nation here. I wanted to do a video that sheds some light on some things that I think are flying under the radar. And it has a lot to do with our Prime Minister aligning himself with the World Economic Forum. And I didn't realize how much until he put out a video to the UN saying that it was time for a reset in reference to Klaus Schwab's The Great Reset, and Klaus Schwab being the head of the World Economic Forum. The other thing our Prime Minister said in that video was that it was a good time to speed up pre-pandemic plans, and that could mean a lot of things, but it made me start wanting to look at the money and following the money. And if we're looking at how closely Canada is aligning itself with the World Economic Forum and where it's giving its money, then we have to start with We Charity. And the We Charity scandal obviously broke in the summer of last year. And a few things that you may or may not know about We Charity. Number one, they started as Free the Children. Mark and Craig Kielburger started it in 1995. You probably all know that. In 2008, the Kielburgers met Klaus Schwab when he gave them the 2008 Social Entrepreneur of the Year award. And it looks like their relationship with Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum began then. Because in 2016 they rebranded from Free the Children to We Charity to further align themselves with the World Economic Forum, or We Forum. And to further evidence that relationship, Mark Kielburger can also be found on a website called Young Global Leaders, which are leaders from around the world in business and media and politics. And they describe themselves as a growing membership of more than 1,300 members aligned with the World Economic Forum's mission. And Mark Kielburger can be found on that website. So they are committed to helping the World Economic Forum achieve its goals. So if we are looking at aligning ourselves with the World Economic Forum, and We Charity is aligned with the World Economic Forum, that's $900 million. And it seems a bit odd. And it did to a lot of people because that contract didn't hold up to scrutiny and was then canceled. So that made me start looking for other money that we've given away as taxpayers to companies that it didn't seem to make a lot of sense. And there seemed to be really no explanation for it. And what I found was $60 million for something called Elysis, which was a joint venture between Apple, Rio Tinto, and Alcoa. Between them, they make hundreds of billions of dollars. So why are we giving them $60 million? Why do they need taxpayer money at all? $20 million to the Clinton Foundation, $40 million to BlackBerry, $100 million a year to the World Wildlife Fund, $12 million to Loblaws. If you remember, we gave them $12 million for freezers. And again, they make billions of dollars, so why do they need $12 million for freezers? I actually think it was for something called Loop, but we were told it was for freezers. And then $50 million to MasterCard. And why this matters is all of these companies are either sponsors, they call them partners, but it's sponsors, or closely affiliated with the World Economic Forum. And also on that list, which I didn't mention, was SNC-Lavalin. They're also a sponsor of the World Economic Forum. So this all starts coming together when we see our Prime Minister talking about a reset and pre-pandemic plans and aligning himself with the World Economic Forum. Now, if we go back to We Charity, then at the end of that, we know that our finance minister stepped down. He resigned for offenses that were comparatively a slap on the wrist for what we were accusing our prime minister of doing, like conflict of interests. But he resigned, which allowed for Freeland to step into the role of finance minister, which was odd in itself because what is a journalist doing as finance minister with no financial background whatsoever? Also, she stepped up as the deputy prime minister at that time. So here's the problem with that. Again, if we're aligning ourselves with the World Economic Forum and we're giving money to sponsors of the World Economic Forum, here's the problem. Freeland is also on the board of directors for the World Economic Forum, and herein lies the conflict of interest. This seems like a massive breach of ethics. You could argue, though, that there is no conflict of interest if they're giving money before she stepped up into that role, and you'd be right. So we need to start looking at companies that we may have given money to after she stepped into that role. And here's what I found so far. We have recently given money to airlines because they're struggling because of COVID. But 12 of those airlines are from foreign countries. So why are we giving subsidiaries to companies that are from other countries? 3 of those are also sponsors of the World Economic Forum, and a couple more are partnering up with projects that are affiliated with the World Economic Forum as well. And then lastly, there's VFS, which is a visa application company. The government's given them millions of dollars over the years. Liberal government, I think 141 million, but 9 million after Freeland stepped up. VFS is not affiliated with the World Economic Forum, but their parent company EQT Investments is also a sponsor of the World Economic Forum. So if we give them money and you type that company in and type in World Economic Forum, if you Google that, then most of the times, those companies will come up as sponsors. So that seems to be a massive breach of ethics to me, because what is our finance minister doing on the board of directors giving money from our taxpayer dollars to companies that are sponsoring the World Economic Forum when she is in charge of furthering the World Economic Forum's mission as well as raising money for them. So that in itself seems like a giant conflict of interest. But the other problem is that, our Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister is supposed to be raising the economy, stimulating our economy so we can all get back to work instead of hoping for handouts, creating opportunities that we can get out there and work for ourselves. But if you do a minimal amount of research, the World Economic Forum is betting on countries' economies to fail so they can implement their mission. There's a lot of shiny marketing in there, but in behind there, they are definitely working towards a global economy and getting rid of national economies. So it makes me wonder what our Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister is doing. Who is she serving? Is she serving Canada or is she serving the World Economic Forum? Because those are 2 very different missions as far as I'm concerned. So I believe that our Deputy Prime Minister needs a lot more scrutiny. I think we should be going back through everything and taking a closer look at her instead of looking at the Prime Minister. We should be kind of focusing on what's been flying under the radar, as I say. So I'd share this out if you can. I'd share it to journalists. I'd share it to anybody who'd listen, because I believe that people need to kind of put her under a closer microscope and see what's actually happening, and who is she serving, and is this a massive breach of ethics, or is this at least a conflict of interest? That's it.